Good afternoon. It's great to be here in Antwerp again. By the way, anyone knows where the city's name comes from? No? Well, of course, you know. Long time ago, a giant lived by the river. He asked money to sailor for pass. And if they refused, they cut out their hands. Not really nice. And then a hero came, he cut out the giant's hand and threw it to the river. And that's why the city is called Antwerp, which literally means hand throw. I come from Valencia on the east coast of Spain. Yeah, it's not that far, but there's no direct flight from Valencia to Antwerp. So my trip was a little adventure. First, a train from Valencia to Madrid, then a flight from Madrid to Brussels, from Brussels, a train to Antwerp, and then an Uber from Antwerp Central Station to this hotel. So not a huge distance, but it takes time to get here. And honestly, it couldn't be a big problem, except I'm a bit picky when it comes to choosing a seat. Not only on the plane, but also on the train. So when I book my tickets, I spend a lot of time at my computer looking for the perfect seat that matches all my requirements. Let me give you an example. In March, I traveled to Austin, Texas, because I was invited to give a session at Claris Engage 2025. So I booked a flight from Madrid to Austin with a layover in Atlanta. So I went to Delta website, log in, and finally I get the seat map, the big moment, the most important decision. Which seat will I stay in for more than 10 hours? I was doubting between two options, seat 30E, an aisle seat, and seat 30G, a window seat. Normally I prefer the aisle, but seat 30G seemed to have some extra legroom. The problem is that these seat maps don't show the real proportions of the plane. They are just drawing, but the seats are in the right position, but sizes and distances are not real. So what do? I visit a website, probably you know it, that rates every seat on every plane. It's called SeatGuru. But it didn't give me the info I need about legroom on seat 30G. So, next step, YouTube. I searched for a video showing that exact seat for that particular plane. And you know what? I found one. Here's some screenshot. You can see the seat, and you get a better idea of the space for your legs. On the left, seat 30E, and on the right, seat 30G. So during that flight, I start thinking, what if we could build something like this in FileMaker? Could I reproduce a real seat map of a plane, or maybe of a theater? Maybe even create a reservation system in FileMaker, but with a proportional, realistic seat map. Was it possible? Yes, using SVGs. SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, and the key is that you can display an SVG inside a web viewer. And once you have it there, you can even run a FileMaker script from that web viewer. So today, I'm going to show you the result of this whole process. I will explain from scratch what an SVG is and how can we integrate it into a FileMaker solution, and finally, the most interesting part, so stay until the end, some real use cases that will hopefully impress you, especially because it doesn't look like the typical FileMaker booking system. So now let's go with the demo. I will show you a FileMaker file that, of course, will be available to all of you at the end of the session. Let me open this. Okay. Let's change the screens. Blah, blah, blah. Where is it? Ajustes, system settings, displays. Okay, here we go. Mirror. Okay, here it is. So this is the file, and I will share this file with all the attendees, and of course the organization will send it to you. Here I'm going to show you some examples. In this layout, we got. Let's start with this. This seems to be a theater, and I'm going to make some reservations. So I click this seat on the row number 1, and this one is, yeah, I don't want to go alone to the cinema or to the theater, so I type my name, say Javier, and I say book now, and now these seats are taken. So if I drag my mouse here, row 1, seat 6, Javier, Javier, and this one is available. So let's book this one to other one. Let's say, for example, for my friend Hashin, we say book now, and now it's booked. Cool. And of course, if I click again, nothing happens at all. Let me show you another example. Let's move to record number 2. We have our plane. This is our seat map. We have first class or business class, economy, lavatories. So let's make our reservation. First class, why not? This and this will be, for example, for Maria, and we click and book now. But look at this. What happens if someone clicks here? I can get a message from my system that says this is the copy, not a Netflix documentary. Are you clear for takeoff, Captain Wannabe? So we are getting a message from FileMaker. But if we click right here, we get this message. This message comes from JavaScript. I will explain the difference later on. So, of course, you can click on any place of this, and you get a different message. But what's more, if we go here and we click right there, we open the airline website to see the menu. So there's a lot of possibilities using these SVGs. So let's move for the third example. I will go deeply into any of these examples later on. We got a European map with some countries. So if I click in any of these countries, I will get a message with some fun fact about the country. What I'm doing here is asking AI, I'm asking OpenAI for some fun fact about a country, a fun fact about France. Look at this. This is an emoji with a French flag. France recently became blah, 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 blah. And it happens when I click in any other country of this map. Spain is home to a unique natural phenomenon called El Caminito del Rey. Lovely place to go. And the cool thing is that if you click once again in the same country, you get a different message every time you click. And one last example before go into the details. Let's move to this city map. This is Antwerp, and here we have some typical locations of Antwerp, like this hotel. So I can click, and then I get this. Oh, let me show you. This should be off. Here it is. This is a pin, and if I click in the pin, I get the website. Same thing with this park, or Ruben House, or Antwerp Central Station. So this information is inside my FileMaker file, but if I click this Boolean field, just a 1 or 0, I can get this data from a website, from a different location. So I have control to change the icon that my user will see. Here we got these different icons. So, before explaining how I get all these lovely SVGs, let me give you a short explanation of how we should work with SVGs from scratch. In the file, you have a field called explanation, which explains with details everything I'm going to show you. So you will have the opportunity to review it at the end of the session. This is an SVG. An SVG is text, is an XML. So we need this, XML and S, which means XML namespace, and it's obligatory for embedding these SVGs inside FileMaker web viewer. And we have this view box. Think of this view box like a camera. Because we define the internal coordinate system of this SVG, and we say that our camera will start at point 00 and will be up to 100, 100. And then inside this portion of the space, we are drawing a circle. And this circle is 5 by 5, sorry, it's at 0.55, this is X and this is Y, and it has a radius of 5. So here is our circle. So if I change this to 15, like this, it grows, and of course, it moves. So we can move as well this from 15, 15. Okay, here we go. So, more interesting thing about this layout. If I click in this button, I'm getting the HTML, the complete HTML that we are showing in our web viewer. So we have a basic HTML, this is the body, and then we got the SVG starting from here up to there. So there are many ways to show information inside a web viewer. So if we go to layout mode, we don't need this part. Okay. Here is a web viewer where we got this part, data, text, HTML. We are saying people, hey, we are saying the web viewer HTML is coming, and then we list the HTML. So we are embedding two pieces of information, one script and one code. The code is what we got in this regular text FileMaker field, and then the script, well, this first example, they don't have any script. We will see it later on. But as you see, it's really simple to insert an SVG. So how can I create an SVG? I have an empty Illustrator file. Here it is. You can use any other different design software to create an SVG. I will give you some of them later on. But it's really simple. Whoops. Here we go. Let's draw a circle like this. Here we go. Okay, let's make it red. And a square, which will be here. We change the color to this green. Okay. And this line will be this color. Okay, so I save this, and I will save as an SVG. SVG. Here we are, empty file, SVG. Save, okay. Now we can close this. So this SVG, we can open it with, let's open with Sublime. You can open it with any text editor. And we have all these pieces of information. So we are copy this one, copy. Then I'm going to paste it in a FileMaker file. I got this web viewer. It has a global variable, HTML, so it will display anything that is inside that global variable. So we got a really basic script. We are defining a variable which is called $HTML, and we are inserting some text. The text is the basic HTML, and I paste my SVG. Why I'm using this script step, insert text, instead of a typical set variable? The reason is that if I try to use copy and paste, I should escape any quotation mark in my code, and I don't want to do it. So I can just copy and paste like this, so I get this HTML variable just in one script step without any other changes. So this object in my layout is called, it has an object name, which is WV from Web Viewer. And let's go to browse mode. So I save, I play, and I get the SVGs right here. So it's really simple to get any vector graphic object inside a web viewer. So now that we see how can we create a really simple SVG, let's go back here. There's another piece of information that is really, really interesting, which is color. Of course, we can fill our objects with a color. And in order for you to help, we got this popover with all the colors you can use in your solutions. You can just copy here, we go back, and we change this blue, we paste, and boom, color is changed. Of course, you can use X colors instead of this name, or use any other colors that you want. By the way, this is, of course, a web viewer, which is getting $SVG colors. This global variable, we got it in our first window open, insert text. Here we got all the information in an SVG. That's it. So let's move forward. This is a circle, really simple. And this is a grid. This is nothing more than a grid, a view box with 200 by 200, so we can draw lines every 10 pixels. Then we insert a green circle inside this area. Our green circle is, here it is, and it's filled of green. We can include a canvas in the back. This is width, this is 8 at 200 by 200. And of course, we can make much more shapes than a circle. This is a rectangular, 100 by 30, width 8, and this is the color. This is the stroke. So if we want to make it bigger, we just change, and it's bigger. That's it. The way we work with styles is like with any other CSS. If we see this circle and this rectangle, they are defined right here. This is a rectangle, but it has a class. This is BG class. So we can feel this is great. So anything we change here will be changed as well there. So we can change this color by blue. Blue. Here it is. And it's changed. Oh no, this is primary. Maybe it's anyone. Anyway, you get the idea. One of the advantages of an SVG is that we can move different objects at the same time. They can go all together using this transform. We have a group starting from here to there with 2 lines and 2 circles. So if we translate from 30 to 40, 40, the whole group moves. So it's really interesting if your SVG is really crowded. Of course, we can draw different forms like this. This is a triangle using a path. In this path, we have the M, which says it starts at this point, 40, 120. Then make a line up to 140, another line, 160, 120, and then close this triangle. So if we move this from 150, it changes, really easy. We can rotate as well. We have 2 squares, and we are rotating one of them, 30, 100, 100. So if we change from 30 to 40, it moves. Gradients. Of course, we can make gradients. We set the start of the gradient and the end of the gradient with these stop colors. And everything is defined inside this definition. And finally, we insert this, what they call URL grad1 to get the gradient from this linear gradient. Also, we have this radial gradient. We can make also some patterns. Here we are drawing some dots patterns. Of course, we can change from 10 to 20. Really, really easy to implement. We are drawing a line or an arrow, but this arrow is only a line plus a triangle at the end. So nothing else to explain. Of course, we work with text. This text can be in different fonts, serif, sans serif, monospace. We can put this text into a path, into a core path. It scales with the container. And we can insert what is called a clip path. We have an image. This is taken from the EngageU website. EngageU, blah, 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 blah. So we got this clip path like this, circle clip, with this size. So the image is embedded inside this particular circle. And of course, we can change and make it to preserve the aspect ratio using this preserve aspect ratio, obviously. Now we are including a hover in this SVG. Using this button hover, we change the color, that's it. So, but there's no any JavaScript or something like this. Animations. Of course, we have animations. We can change the duration of this animation from 2 to 3, and then it takes much more time to arrive. And this is the interesting part. Click here. If we click here, look at this. I'm opening a dialog but what I'm doing is executing a FileMaker script. So what's inside this? Here we got a script, this part of here, a script, and I'm taking this from this text. So I got inside the SVG this function on click run script and send this parameter hello Antwerp to run this script. So whenever this function receives the information, it's running a FileMaker script, which is, what's the name of the script? Function run script show dialog. Here it is. This is the FileMaker script, show dialog. Boom, boom, boom. Here it is. The script is really simple. It only shows a dialog getting the information from the script parameter. And the last example is here. We can work the other way around. From outside the web viewer, I can perform JavaScript function inside a web viewer. When I click here, there's some JavaScript function, which is here, JavaScript function, up there, here it is. We are saying run this function from a FileMaker script, window fmalert function MSS. So our script, which is up here, here it is. We set a variable, and then we perform JavaScript in web viewer. In this web viewer, it has its own name, of course. This is the function I'm using, and I'm showing this text. So those are the basics. Now let me explain how all these things work, which is the interesting part. We got 3 records, and every place is related to 2 different tables, types and spots. What is a type? Well, a type is nothing else like the theater, the plane, and the map. So here in the theater, we got a field which is called a script, and we got a template. Well, it's not a template, it's a field, but it works like a temple. It's an SVG that has some CSS, and we got what I call some placeholders. This text will be substituted later on. I got ID 1, record ID 1, class 1, and title. ID 2, record ID 2, class 2, and title 2. This is only for the theater. This is for the plane. We got 2 different scripts, and then we got the template. Here it is. And let me copy this information and let's paste it here in Sublime. Here it is. So this is the template I'm using for the plane. If I click Find and I say Pilot, here it is. Here is the path for Pilot Socks. So on click, alert, nice try Maverick, this is the pilot seat. And on click, pilot DOS, show dialog, this is the copilot. So I have to work a lot in this code. That's the hard part. But using ChatGPT or any other AI, it would help you to make all this substitution. Because you have to identify any path on any seat. That's why I use these comments here, seat 1A, seat 1C, etc. So that's a lot of work on this. And finally, I got some spots. Spots are only the seats of the plane, the seats of the theater, etc. I already have 1 record for any seat. So if I go to this one, this is the theater, this one. Fields are path class that can be taken, available, or selected. The seat ID, seat number, record ID, and the path title, which is the information that will be shown when I hover to the seat. If the seat is taken, I get the name. But all this information is summarized in one JSON object, which is here. Class, ID, number, record ID, and title. This information will be after display in just one single line. Let me move right here. Here it is. So this is only one line. I will explain later why I do like this. So we got a theater that is getting information from scripts, from these SVG templates, and some records. So what happens anytime I click on a seat? Let's go to the scripts workspace, and let's see what happens when I select a seat. I don't need this, and this will be bigger. Okay. First of all, I'm using the execute FileMaker data API, which is a script step that is really powerful, because I don't need to establish any relationship to change or edit records on related or unrelated fields. So for this, I am choosing a layout. I will work on my spots layout, and I get the record ID of the seat. Because when I click here, I'm getting a parameter, and the parameter is the record ID of the spot. So if someone clicks here, probably I will get 162, which is the record ID. So what I do with this, let me go back, is I grab the situation of this particular sheet. So using this query, this JSON set element, I say, hey, what is the situation of this record ID in the spots table? So I get all the information from that record, and I get only the path class. It can be available, taken, or selected. So now let's change that situation. If the path class is taken, there's nothing I will do, so I exit. If the path class is available, what I will do is update that record. So I should say, hey, FileMaker, go to this layout, go to this record ID, and change the path class data from whatever it has to selected. The third option, the seat, is selected, because I can change my mind. So I click, and I click again, and it's unselected. So if it's selected, let's do the same thing. Just define this JSON, and after that, we change the field to unselected. So look at how many things can we do with this execute FileMaker data API. It's unbelievable. So at the end, we perform a script called load web viewer. Of course, this web viewer has some data inside, and there's many ways to insert data inside a web viewer. We saw it before, because we can store information into a global variable. But let's do things a little different, just to get some more clear information. So what I've done here is to write a text index in this text block. There's nothing more than a text block. It has the basic HTML, and it has two global variables, SVG script and SVG final. This object has a name, which is web.html. So we can use this FileMaker function, get layout object attribute, web HTML, which is the name of this object, to load this content. So what we are getting here is, at the end of the day, nothing else than this. In fact, we can copy, we can open tools, the data viewer, watch, we'll come here, and then we paste. Oh no, we should escape all these things. But you get the idea. So with this script, load with viewer, here it is. This is where the magic happens. Let's move like this. Okay. So first, we empty the $SVG final, and then we grab the information we have from the template. If we are in the theater, what I need is the SVG from the theater. If I'm in the plane, I get the information from the plane. Then I get the script that belongs to this particular place. And then I'm getting a list of all the spots I have, a list of all the seats, something like this. Class available, ID, seat 11, blah, 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 blah. So that brings me the opportunity to make a loop and start loading seat by seat and drawing the final information that I will need. So in this loop, I get one by one, defining this $I, which is a counter. So I'm using the JSON parse function, which makes JSON really fast. It's something new from FileMaker 22. So I get the first line, this JSON, and then I get different pieces of information. The spot, the class, the ID, the number, the record ID, and the title. And after that, I make this substitution. So the placeholder is changed by this variable. And that's it. It works really fast. So at the end, we got the SVG final, we refresh window, and then the information is displayed in this web viewer. And as you see, it's really, really fast. Next step, let's book a reservation. This script step is more or less the same. We grab the layouts name, the record IDs I have, because someone can make a reservation for more than one, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So I count how many seats I have. If it's empty, I exit the script, and then, once again, another loop, and once again, execute FileMaker Data API to change the information of this particular spot. So what I'm doing, I'm changing the path class to taken and the name to the name of the person that is making this reservation. At the end, we clear this information, empty this global field. That's it. So that's how I changed the views from this web viewer. But there's another interesting example, which is right here. We got this web viewer, and we are using, let me go back. Here it is. This is this low map. Okay. We get a place from these buttons, which is place 1, place 2, place 3, place 4. That's it. And then we got two options. We can use the information that we got in this insert text, that it's here. The information is at the back. This is place 1, place 2, place 3. Or maybe more interesting than this is that we can use remote data. I have uploaded to my FTP server, which is located here, an HTML page, which is city map. So I can get data from outside just using the insert from URL. So if this field has a 1, I insert from URL the information, and if not, I use local information. And at the end, I perform a JavaScript function that makes that only show 1 pin out of 4. So the cool thing about this is that if I want to change the city map, I just open my, here it is, HTML, and here is my city map. It's somewhere around EngageU, here it is. So I can control the information that the user gets whenever shows this page. And of course, we should talk about AI. If not, everybody's talking about AI, so we should talk about this as well. So in this example, when I remember that when I click in any country, I get this data. The cool thing is that it's really simple because I'm using, here it is, get country info. I get a parameter from the SVG with the name of the country. The name of the country is in English, and if it has 2 words, it has an underscore between them. So what I'm doing in this first step is change in the country name this underscore by a space. Then, if it's empty, I exit the script, blah, 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 and then I make this generate response from model. I configure the AI account, demo, this is the provider, OpenAI, and the API key is stored in a custom function. I'm using my own API key, so when you get the file, you should write down your API key, of course, but that's it. The next thing, I got prepared the question, the prompt. Give me one short, interesting, and recent fact about country. The country is, of course, the name of the country. Ideally, something curious and surprising that most people don't know, blah, 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 blah. By the way, the emojis display only on macOS, on Windows. The country code ISO will be shown instead. But who uses Windows anyway? So we generate the response from model, and we show the custom dialog with the flag. Really cool, really impressive, and easy to implement. Of course, there's a lot of work to do inside this SVG. So let's go back. Before wrapping this up, let's go to some resources. From where can you get SVGs? Of course, I didn't draw by myself the plane, the theater, and so on. There are a lot of sources out there. You can use Adobe, you can use AM charts, etc. Some are free, some you have to pay for them. How can I edit those SVGs? You can use Adobe Illustrator, you can use Inkscape, you can use Sketch, and this is a new software. Probably you already know Affinity, but Canva bought Affinity and now is completely free. And this software includes, it's like Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign in the same packages for free, and it works like a charm. So Adobe is expensive. They increase the price every year. So it's a great option. If you click on these buttons, you get the documentation of JSON part state, and any of the script steps I mentioned during the session. So this is the file that you will get with all the examples. So let me go back to my presentation for the final takes away. Okay, change to extended display. Okay, and we open the keynote and we say play. All right. Okay, so let's finish with a quick recap. First of all, SVGs can really take your interface to the next level. They give you something unique that other formats just can't. They render super fast, and the quality is unbeatable. You can zoom in as much as you want, and they will always look sharp. Also, there's plenty of ready-to-use content out there, so just explore any SVG libraries, and you will find thousands of options. And of course, you can customize whatever you need, colors, shapes, whatever it fits your project. And finally, make sure you have a way to edit SVGs remotely so that they can save you a lot of time when your project grows. So those are our main takeaways, and I really hope they inspire you to start experimenting with SVG inside FileMaker. And by the way, if you want to know how the story ends, I finally choose seat 30G by the window. Fortunately, the leg room was quite so good, so I could travel comfortably with my staff and still go to the bathroom without bothering the person next to me. Thank you. So if you want to download the file and the presentation, you can just go ahead to go to this website, no password, and you will get the PDF from the presentation and the FileMaker file. And of course, we have a few minutes left, so I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Hi, yeah. The value that you were passing from the SVG into FileMaker, the script parameter, that was sort of like a one string variable. Could you pass back a JSON payload as the script parameter?
A JSON payload?
Yeah.
Probably you can.
I mean, would it be a lot of messing around with commenting out, etc., or could you?
Yeah, for me it was easier to pass just one line of text with the JSON. Probably you can make a big JSON with all this data, but you can try it this way, but it could be a little more complex to implement.
Thanks.
I try to make things as simple as possible because I have a FileMaker trainer, and I try to explain things as easier as I can. So using this line method it can work, because believe me or not, there are many people out there who is not using JSON 2025, and they're using any other techniques. But yes, it can work. Any other questions? Okay, so thank you.